Halloween night had arrived in the quiet town of Ravenswood, and the streets were filled with glowing pumpkins, children in costumes, and the distant sound of laughter. Houses were decorated with orange lights and fake cobwebs, making the entire town look festive and mysterious. But far away from the cheerful streets, at the edge of the forest, stood an old house that no one wanted to go near. The people of Ravenswood called it the haunted house. The house had been abandoned for many years. Its windows were broken, the wooden walls were dark and cracked, and the roof looked like it could collapse at any moment. Tall weeds and twisted trees surrounded the property, making it look even more frightening, especially at night. Many strange stories were told about that house. Some people claimed they saw lights flickering inside even though no one lived there. Others said they heard footsteps, whispers, and doors slamming in the middle of the night. Four friends Alex, Ryan, Mia, and Sophie stood near the old iron gate that led to the house. They had been trick-or-treating earlier, laughing and enjoying the Halloween night, but Ryan had a different idea. He stared at the dark building with a confident smile. "Everyone in this town is scared of nothing," Ryan said. "It's just an old house." Mia looked nervous. "My brother said someone once went inside and ran out screaming." Ryan laughed. "Stories are just stories." He pushed the rusty gate open, and it made a long, loud creaking sound in the silent night. Slowly, the four friends walked toward the house, unaware that their simple dare was about to turn into the most terrifying night of their lives. Ghost. The moment they stepped inside, the air felt heavy and cold. The door slammed shut behind them with a loud bang that echoed through the empty house. All four friends jumped in shock. For a moment, no one spoke. The inside of the house was darker than they expected, and the smell of dust and old wood filled the air. Broken furniture was scattered across the floor, and thick spider webs covered the corners of the ceiling. Moonlight barely entered through the cracked windows, creating long, creepy shadows across the walls. Ryan tried to laugh to hide his nervousness. "Relax, it's just an old house." But Mia wasn't convinced. She wrapped her arms around herself as a cold breeze moved through the hallway. "Why does it feel so cold in here?" Alex looked around carefully while Sophie pointed her phone flashlight toward the hallway. The beam of light revealed peeling wallpaper and picture frames hanging crooked on the walls. Some of the frames still held old black and white photos, but the faces inside them were scratched and faded. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the silence. Tap, tap, tap. Everyone froze. "Did you hear that?" Sophie whispered. The sound came again, louder this time. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like someone slowly knocking on wood. The noise seemed to come from somewhere deeper inside the house, possibly upstairs. Ryan swallowed nervously but tried to stay brave. "Probably a loose window or something," he said. But then the sound changed. It no longer sounded like knocking. It sounded like footsteps. Slow, heavy, footsteps moving somewhere above them in the darkness. The sound of the footsteps made the entire house feel even colder. The four friends stood frozen in the middle of the dusty hallway, staring up at the dark staircase. The steps above them creaked slowly, as if someone invisible was walking across the floor. Alex felt his heart beating faster with every second. That can't be the wind," Mia whispered, her voice shaking. Ryan tried to stay calm, but even he looked nervous now. "Maybe there's an animal up there," he said quietly, though he didn't sound very confident. Sophie lifted her phone flashlight and pointed it toward the staircase. The weak beam of light barely reached the top, leaving most of the hallway above hidden in darkness. For a moment, everything became silent again. Then suddenly, slam! A door upstairs slammed shut so loudly that all four of them jumped in fear. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the sound echoed through the empty house. "That's it. We're leaving," Sophie said quickly. But when Alex turned toward the front door, something strange caught his eye. On the wall beside the staircase hung an old mirror covered in dust. As the flashlight moved across it, the reflection showed the four of them standing there. But there was something else. A tall dark shape standing behind them. Alex's eyes widened. "Guys, don't move." "What?" Ryan asked nervously. Alex slowly pointed at the mirror. Everyone looked. The shadow in the reflection was standing perfectly still, watching them. But when they quickly turned around, the hallway behind them was completely empty. The hallway behind them was empty, but the fear in the room was very real. The four friends stood close together, their eyes moving nervously through the darkness. The house had become completely silent again, but the silence felt worse than the strange sounds. It felt like something was watching them, waiting. "We need to leave right now," Mia said, her voice trembling. They quickly moved toward the front door. Alex grabbed the handle and tried to pull it open, but the door wouldn't move. He tried again, harder this time. "It's stuck," he said with panic. Ryan rushed over to help, but the door felt like it was locked from the outside. Suddenly the temperature in the house dropped even more. A cold wind moved through the hallway even though every window was closed. Then they heard it again. Tap. 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 The sound slowly echoed through the dark corridor behind them. This time it was louder and heavier, like slow footsteps walking across the wooden floor. Sophie turned her flashlight toward the hallway, and the light began to shake in her hand. At the far end of the corridor, something slowly appeared. A tall shadow began to form against the wall, darker than the surrounding darkness. It moved slowly, almost floating toward them. As it came closer, two faint glowing eyes appeared inside the shadow. The friends backed against the door, completely terrified. Then a deep whisper filled the house. "You should not have come here." The voice echoed through the walls like it belonged to the house itself, ancient and filled with pain. Ryan's brave expression finally disappeared. For the first time that night, he realized the stories about this house might be true. The shadow slowly moved closer, its glowing eyes fixed on the four terrified friends. None of them could move. The air felt heavy, and the cold seemed to crawl through their bones. Mia began to cry softly while Sophie held her flashlight tightly, though her hands were shaking so badly that the light kept moving across the walls. "Please, we're sorry," Alex said nervously, his voice barely steady. "We didn't know." For a moment, the shadow stopped moving. The glowing eyes stared at them silently. Then the dark figure slowly raised what looked like an arm, pointing toward the broken walls of the house. Suddenly the air around them changed, and strange images began to appear like faint memories floating in the darkness. They saw flashes of the past. A family living happily inside the house many years ago. Children laughing and running through the hallway. A father smiling as he repaired the wooden stairs. But the peaceful images quickly turned into chaos. Flames filled the house, smoke covered the rooms, and people screamed while the fire spread everywhere. The father tried to save his family, but the house collapsed around him. The vision disappeared, and the shadow stood silently again. "This house holds my last memories," the deep voice whispered. The friends finally understood. The spirit wasn't trying to harm them, it was protecting the place where his life had ended. Suddenly the front door made a loud click and slowly opened by itself. "Leave, and never return," the voice said. Without saying another word, the four friends ran out into the cold Halloween night, their hearts pounding as they escaped the haunted house forever. Ghost.